As a data scientist or a data analyst, you will have to know how to bring multiple different data sources together in order to do your analysis and run your machine learning models. Therefore, in this tutorial, I'm going to be explaining how to do Python joins and Python unions, which is two ways of bringing the data together. Now, looking at this tutorial overview now, I'm going to start by explaining from where to download the raw data we will be using in this tutorial. So we'll be using 3 CSV Excel files, and I'm going to show you how to load them into Pandas Dataframes so you can actually do the code with me. Then I'm going to explain how the left join works and then how to actually create a left join and run left joins. Then I'm going to explain how the inner join works and then how to create and run inner joins. After that, I'm going to cover the full joins, how do they work and how to run them. Cross joins, again, how do they work and how we run them. I'm going to touch on the right joins, which is not something I'm going to spend too much time doing. And then we're going to go through unions, how they work, and then how to run unions in Python. I will also be providing this Python notebook with the titles and one with the full code in case you do want to download it and follow this tutorial through with me as we go through the video. In terms of libraries now, I will mostly be using Pandas, maybe some NumPy. If you don't have them installed, all you have to do is type in pip install pandas in the Anaconda terminal, and then it's going to start downloading it. Right, number 1, loading CSV data into Pandas Dataframes. After you download the raw data files, which is going to be these 3 raw data files from the link in the description, you can save them anywhere you want in your PC. And then in order to load them into Python, all you have to do is copy this directory up here. So I'm just going to click on it, right click, copy, go back to Python and type in, I need to give it a name first, the data frame. So the first file I'm going to be doing is marketing raw data. So I'm going to name this as marketing row equals, I need to say pd dot read CSV, what is it? Read CSV, yeah, read CSV, open brackets and the quotes, and then paste that link in the quotes. Make sure you use double forward slash here. I'm not entirely sure how is it called. And then at the end, I put another double forward slash, and then I go back to my folder. I copy the name of the file I want to bring in. So this is marketing raw data, copy, minimize, and then paste it here at the end. And at the end, we need to type .csv as it's a CSV file. And then just to run it, I copy the name of the data frame to run it down here. I just need the head. I run it, and as we can see, we've successfully brought in the first file. I need to repeat this process for the other 2. So all I have to do is copy this at the top, paste it twice, 1, 2. I need to change the names now. So the second file is going to be the revenue raw data and the revenue raw data 2. So I'm just going to name this as, first of all, paste the name of the file and name this as revenue row. Sorry, no capitals, we don't need the capitals. And then the second one, again, I go back, I copy the name, which is the revenue raw data new. So this is what we are going to use for the union. I paste it here, and then I rename it as revenue row underscore new. And then I have to print all the shapes of the files just to visualize the shapes. So the first file is going to be this one, and I have to print the marketing row dot shape, and then I need to print the other 2 too. Copy, paste, I run it. There we go. So our first file has a number of 124 rows and 3 columns. Our second file has a number of 119 rows and 4 columns. And the third file is only 31 rows, observations, and 4 columns. If I want to visualize the data, I can only do it one at a time. So I can do the first one, which is going to be dot head. We've seen the first one. These are the 3 columns. The second file is going to be the revenue row. I copy, paste this, copy, paste the name just to visualize it. We have date, day name, visitors, revenue, and the third one is pretty much the same but different. Undo, copy, paste, dot head, yeah, it's the same column names, it's just different row data in it. Right, so this is how we load our data into a Pandas data frame. Right, moving down to the left join. So what is a left join? A left join is basically when you're trying to bring two or more tables together, so join them together. Just to visualize now how it works, let's imagine that we have these two tables, table A and table B. Table A has a total of 7 rows and 4 columns, and table B has a total of 10 rows and 3 columns. What we want to do when we join these two tables together is to bring next to revenue here marketing spend. So this is our output table, so this is what we want to have at marketing spend, and promo next to table A. So the way it works now, when you're running a left join, we always start from left to right, and our table A, so the first table, is the table where we want to join the additional columns on it. Always, when you're running a left join, all the data from table A should be in the output table, because remember, it's a left join, so we have to keep all the rows. So we start with 7 rows, we finish with 7 rows. And additionally, if you check all this data, so from date, day, visitors, and revenue, it's all here. Date, day, visitors, and revenue, and all the rows are here too, exactly the same data. And now when we say left join B now, the way it works, it starts from the first observation. The key column here is date, that exists in both tables. So it checks if the 1st of this, February 2021 is in table B. It cannot find a match, but since it's a left join, it does not care. It's going to go all the way, and it's going to appear in the output table. And next to marketing spend, it's going to have empty because it found no match in table B. And next to promo, again, it's going to be empty because it found no match. Then it continues into the second row. So it checks if the 2nd of February 2021 exists into table B, which it does. As you can see, is this blue arrow. So it comes on the output here, and next to marketing spend and promo, it's going to take this number, which is this number, and it's going to take the promotional blue and promotion blue, and it's going to add it next to promo here. Same way applies for the rest of the rows. So it checks if the 3rd exists, which it does, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, all of them exist. So they do appear in the output, all the way to the 7th of February, which again, it checks. It cannot find 7th of February in table B, but it doesn't care because it's a left join. It's still going to appear in the output table. Now, some notes now, just to highlight some facts. All the rows from table A will exist in the output table. So as we can see, total number of rows 7, they do exist in the output table. Not all rows from table B will exist in the output tables, only the matching ones. So as you can see, the 30th or the 31st, they don't exist in the output, because they don't exist in table A. Same with the 8th, 9th, and 11th, they don't exist in table A, so they are not going to exist in the output table. Table A and the output table should have the same number of rows. So as we can see, 7, total row 7, total row 7. And in the final output, if the final output table does not have the same number of rows, so if this has more, which it can happen when you're running a left join, it means that you have duplicated data. So you haven't joined in all the key columns, or there is duplication in your A and B table, which is causing duplication in the output table. So if you see different number of rows in your output table when you're running left joins, know that you do have some duplication error in it. Right, how do we create left joins now? In Python now, there is a few ways of creating left joins, and I'm going to try and cover the most important ones. Right, first of all, we need to specify which is our table A and which is our table B. So our table A is going to be the revenue row, so I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to actually print the shape, first of all, just to see the number of rows. Remember, it's very important to be able to check if the left join has happened correctly. I'm going to say print, and then brackets, and I'm going to say the number of rows for table A is, then quotes, comma, then row data dot shape. So let me run this so we can see that we actually know now that we have a total number of rows of 119 in our table A, and then I'm also going to print our table B. So print our table B is going to be the marketing row data. So I'm going to paste it here. The number of rows for table B is, there we go. And if I do want to visualize table A, so table A, remember, dot head, paste it here. It's exactly the same as this table, table A, but now we don't have 7 rows. We actually have 119 rows in our table A. We have exactly the same column names, date, day name, visitors, and revenue. And from table B now, I'm just going to print table B just to visualize it. Actually, let's print table B below it so we can actually see both. So copy, paste, copy this, paste, marketing row, .head, paste. What we want to do now, we want to add next to revenue, marketing spend and promo. So it's very similar to this example, which is marketing spend and promo. However, we do have more rows now. We don't have 7 and 10. Right. To do this now in Python, there is a function called merge, which is basically running the join. First, we need to give a name to our data frame. So I'm just going to name it as df, and then say equals pd.merge, and then open brackets. In the brackets, I need to put the two tables, A and B. So remember, A is revenue row. So copy, paste, come on. B is marketing row. There we go. Comma, I need to say how equals, and this is where I need to specify if it's going to be a left join, full join, or inner join. And I'm going to say left, then say comma. I need to say the key columns now. So left on equals, and here I need to put the key column from the first table, so from revenue, which is date. So remember, the key column is where what I'm going to use to match them together. And then right on is going to be the key column from the second table. Equals, quotes, and then again is date, because you can see it's the same. I have exactly the same column names. But even if I didn't have exactly the same column names, if this was called date ID, I could just say date ID here, and it's going to match the date from here with date ID from down here. Copy, paste, I think is fine, and then I just print the df. So I say df just to see the, let's just visualize it first. Let's say head 10 rows, run it, and then we got an error. Is right on, is not right. Run it, there we go. So as we can see, it did work, but we get nuns here. Maybe it's because this data does not exist over here. Let's just visualize the whole data frame just to see if anything worked. So we scroll down, we can see that it actually worked for some of them. So some of them joined correctly, and some of them there is no data. I'm actually going to show you later on how to identify which columns come from which table, table A or table B, when we run the full join. So this is one way of joining. By the way, we haven't checked the number of rows. So if we check the number of rows, so if we do df.shape and we run it, we can see that we have a total of 119 rows, which if we scroll up, the number of rows in table A is 119. So it actually worked correctly as we set up here. It kept all the rows from table A, and it just left join the columns from the columns and the rows from table B. So this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing exactly the same thing is just by saying df equals df equals, then pd, instead of saying pd.merge, I can actually start with table a.merge. So I can say revenue row dot merge, then open merge, open brackets, and then put table B, copy, paste, and then exactly the same as I have after a marketing row, which is the how is going to be a left join, and then the two key columns. So I copy it, I paste it, and then I run, let's say this is df2, I copy it, I paste it, and I print the shape of df2. As you can see, again, I have exactly the same output. It's 119 rows, which is what we have in table A, and 6 columns now, because remember, we've brought in 2 more columns. As you can see, by the way, we haven't specified which columns we want to join from table B, which is marketing row and promo. Let me just run it so you can actually visualize it. What happened? Run. There we go. We haven't set which columns we want to bring, but the way it works is that it ignores the key column. So because we said left on date and right on date, it's going to ignore date from table B, and it only kept date from table A. However, if it was a different name, if it was date ID or date name on table B, it was still going to keep the date, and it was going to be exactly the same column. And then any column that does not exist in table A now, it just join them, which is marketing spend and promo. If I do want to specify now specific columns, so let's say I don't want to see marketing spend, I only want to see promo, or vice versa, I could just copy the same thing again, copy, paste, and here where it says marketing row, I can filter the data frame itself, and I can specify the columns I need. So I can say I only need obviously date because it's the key column. Sorry, it's actually from this table now, and then just promo. I don't want to bring marketing spend. So if I run df, let's do df3 now, run it, you can see that it only brought promo and not the marketing spend as we had before. This method now is also going to work with the first method too. So if I don't say revenue.merge and I just say pd.merge and I put A and B and filter the data frame within. Right, the last way of doing it is when we don't have to say left on or right on. We just say, what was it? We just say on and then the column name. So df4, just to show you how it works, df4 equals, again, I'm going to copy this, paste it down here. And instead of saying left on and right on, I'm just going to say on equals and then the key column. So this is only going to work when we have exactly the same key columns in both tables. So if I run df4 now, there we go, it still works. And just to explain how it works is that because the on key column is exactly the same column name in both tables, so it's date and date in our two tables, then this on is going to work. But had we not had the same name in the two different data frames, then this method, the last example, it was not going to work. We still need to go with the left on and right on. If we had two columns to join on, so let's say we wanted to join both on date and day name, if both had day name, we could just add a comma here on the left on and add the second key and then a comma here again. And add the second key. So in some cases, or maybe most of the cases, as a data scientist or data analyst, you will have more than one key columns that you actually have to join on. By the way, if you feel that you're getting enough value out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you click that like button and subscribe to my channel. Right, the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly rename the column names from table B. So marketing row, I'm going to turn this date to date ID just to demonstrate how example 4 is not going to work with the on and how example 3 is going to work. So I'm just going to add dot head quickly here just to save some space. Then run it, and then I need to rename the column date from marketing row. So to do this, I have to say, there's a few ways of renaming columns. I'm just going to quickly do this one. I'm going to say marketing row.columns equals, again, marketing row.columns .str.replace. So I'm replacing a string now, and I'm replacing date, comma, with a date ID. And then if I run this now, copy, paste, and then this needs to be, I just need the head actually, I don't need the whole table. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it on a different cell below and then run it. There we go. So as you can see now, it renamed the date. So before it was date, marketing row, you can see it here. And now it's actually called date ID. Now, if I try to run example 4 now, which we don't say right on and left on, so I'm just going to copy example 4 and paste it down here, which is going to be the error as I have here. and try and run it, you can see straight away we get an error because it says date is not in index. And what it means is that table B, which is marketing row, it doesn't actually have date. So the new column name is data ID. So even if I add data ID here, it's still not going to work because of the on. So if I run this now, again, we get an error. It says, what it says, key error date. So there's something going wrong here. So what I need to do is add the left on, this one, and the right on. So I'm just going to copy it, paste it down here. And if I run it as it is, it's not going to work again because the right on is a different column name. The column name now is called date ID as we've renamed it. Copy it, paste it, run it again, and now it works fine. If we run the shape now, just to see how many rows it joined, so we can see still correct, 119 rows. Right, the last thing I'm going to show you before we move to inner join is how to replace nuns with zeros, how to replace nuns with strings, and how to replace strings with strings. As a data analyst or a data scientist, you will often have to do this before you move on, because after you finish your join or your merge, you do have all these none values appearing because of how the join works. So let me just quickly run our first data frame 1, because we do have all the columns there, and say .head. We need the brackets too. And as you can see, we have all these nuns over here. Now let's assume that all the columns were numeric and we did want to replace all the nuns from the whole data frame into zeros. One way of doing it was just by saying df.fillna and then open brackets and say 0. And now if I run this, you can see that it replaced all the nuns, so all these 2 new columns. Everywhere that they had none is 0. However, I don't want to do this because the promo column is actually a string. So I only want to do it for marketing spend. To do this now only on marketing spend, by the way, I haven't replaced anything in the data frame because I have to either say in place equals true or actually say df equals to pass it back. If I only want to do it on a specific column, I can just name that column. So I'm just going to say df and then select the column, which is marketing spend. So I'm just going to copy it, paste it, and then say equals. And then again, I'm going to copy the marketing spend and add .fill na and then add the 0. And now if I run the df, there we go, we can see that it did nothing for promo and it only replaced the marketing spend. The next thing now is that I want to replace this none from promo now to maybe a no promo, because if it's none, maybe there was no promotion that day, it makes sense. So to do this now, I'm just going to copy this, paste it down here. I'm going to rename the column I want to apply the change now, which is promo. And in the fill na, I'm just going to put quotes and just say no promo. Let me just say, actually, no promo 2. I'm just going to say 2 because I need to show you how to replace that later on. If I run this now, we can see that we replaced all the nuns. So before it was a none, now it's actually a string. Right, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to replace strings with strings. So let's say that we've actually made a mistake here, and with this no promo 2 should actually be no promo without the 2, which is what we have in table A. So we do want to make them match. So to do this, I can just quickly copy this, paste it down here. And instead of saying, again, I need to select the column. So I select the column df promo, which is this column. And instead of saying .fill na, I can just say replace. And then I need to replace something with something. So I want to replace this no promo 2, copy, paste to actually no promo without the 2. So if I run this now, we can see that it actually fixed our error that we had before from a no promo 2 to a no promo. So now we have a more like a consistent data now in this promo column as we've joined table A and table B. Right, I'm just going to finish this tutorial here now, and I'm going to finish the rest of the joins in the next video as we've passed 20 minutes now, and I do want to keep these videos short. I hope you enjoyed this video and you've gained enough value out of this video. If you feel like you did, please click that like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or something I haven't explained very well, please let me know in the comments below what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to know more. And please enable notifications so you know when I'm going to upload the next video, which is probably going to be in 3 days' time. Thank you very much for watching.